Welcome to our first Color Crush project. We're going to start by making a color palette swatch book. And I've provided you guys all with a fun new little stamp set, the color palette stamp set. You're going to need a black ink pad. You'll need the new stamp set. You'll also need either an ink pad or a refill, and you can use either. Then from your packet, you'll need to get your 17 Color Crush colors of cardstock. You also have a piece of media paper for watercoloring and a piece of ultra smooth for the cutting of the strips. Now you'll need a trimmer, and you're actually going to start by cutting strips 1.5 inches wide by 4.25 inches long. And you'll need 18 pieces, one for the cover and one for each of the 17 Color Crush colors, unless you'd like to make the extras for the new ink pads that will be coming soon. Next, from each of the colors, you're going to cut 1.5 inch by 1.25 inch squares. And you'll need to do that for all the colors as shown. Okay, next you're going to grab that media paper, which has a little bit more texture than that ultra smooth, and you're going to cut the 1.5 inch by 1.25 inch pieces, just the same as you did all the 17 colors. Okay, you'll need 18 of these pieces to complete the swatch book, and you might want to cut a few extras just in case you mess up. You know how watercoloring can be. It can be a little messy sometimes. So then the next step is you're going to gather a glass of water, and I just use a mug, and then you're going to get a watercolor brush. Now, whichever watercolor brush you have handy is fine, but I am sharing today my favorite brush. These are the Escoda Versatile Series Watercolor Travel Brush Set, and I'll provide you guys a link in the descriptions. So gather up a brush, and then you're going to start by adding a light water wash to each piece before you actually apply the ink. Okay, I'm working on a glass surface. You can work on an acrylic block, but you'll need to either smush down your ink pad or add a drop of a re-inker to that surface, and then you're just going to blend out with some water and then lightly apply that over the little swatch of paper that you've added the water to, and this will allow it to kind of bleed naturally from dark to light. And then I'll keep going over the top portion of the piece of paper to really get that intense color, because I do like to show kind of the light to dark so that I know when I'm creating what options I'm going to have when using those colors. You're now going to go ahead and do this for all 18 colors. I also recommend cleaning up in between each color. One thing you'll notice throughout all my videos is I do use a dark microfiber cloth. These are readily available at Target or Walmart, wherever you shop, and they really are probably my #1 most recommended supply to have when stamping, because they don't leave behind fibers when you're cleaning off your stamps. They also wipe up messes really fast, especially ink. And you definitely want to get a dark one so you don't see it, and then just rinse in between projects and you're good to go. While you're watching me watercolor a few of these colors, I did want to talk a little bit about our inks and why they're so great. Not only does a re-inker allow you to refill your ink pad, but they also, just a little drop goes a long ways, and they work fabulous for watercoloring. I think a lot of people don't understand that. That's the great thing about buying a re-inker as well. You don't have to buy custom watercolors or mix colors in palettes to try to achieve those looks. You automatically have those instant matching watercolors to work with all of our coordinating products. So it just really is such a great addition to the collection. Also, another thing to note when you're watercoloring, especially a lot of colors like this for swatches, is depending on the colors you use and the order you use them, you can avoid switching out your water. I tend to work mostly in the spectrum color, leaving the bright pinks and the dark blues and greens for the very end, because they will dirty your water and muddy it, so your light pinks and yellows won't look so great. So start with those other colors first. Now that you've created all your watercolor swatches and cut all your cardstock pieces, you're going to go ahead and start adhering them down to the strips of paper. And what you're going to do is add some adhesive and then leave about a ½ inch from the top and apply your cardstock pieces to the top, then leaving like a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, depending on what you like. Add the watercolor swatch piece just below that. This will be leaving some room at the bottom to go ahead and stamp those color names at the very end. So the best thing to do when you're creating these books is, I like everything to line up when I'm flipping through it. So as you can see here, I've laid down the original one on the left side, and I just line up as I go all the cardstock pieces and watercolor swatches so that they are nice and even and the same on each page. Okay guys, now that you've attached all of your swatches to your strips of cardstock, you're going to stack them up, take the top swatch and punch a 1/4 inch hole punch into that and use that as a template to punch the rest of your colored swatches. The reason you want to do this is if you don't and you just punch them all individually, they won't line up and hang correctly. So just go ahead and take the time to do that, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I always recommend stamping on a piece of foam. These are so inexpensive. I think I pay 99 cents to $2 depending on the size of the piece and how thick it is, but it really does make all the difference in your stamping